Krista.
Monica has less than 10 minutes, so I just wanted, and we can go back to Krista if we'd like. I just want to yield my time to Monica so that she can get on about her day.
Hey, thanks everybody. And I just want to say thanks to the folks who put this letter together. I am in full agreement that this sends the message that we discussed at our last meeting, and feel that this should be immediately distributed to the appropriate folks. And feel that not only should the folks on Appropriations Subcommittee, but I would like to suggest that it does go to all members of the House and Senate if the rest of the group feels that that is appropriate. That's it.
Thank you. Thank you, Monica. Does anybody have any questions about Monica's thoughts before she exits? And I know that you have a few minutes, but just certainly want the committee to have an open dialogue if they can regarding anybody's thoughts.
Just to jump in really quickly, Pat is on speakerphone on my cell phone. We're going to try to see if we can get him to be heard through the microphone from my speakerphone. Pat, do you want to try?
Sure, and I apologize. Just my technological skills have come to light this morning. So can everyone hear me without feedback?
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I will, I think Monica, somebody's already started the meeting, opened the meeting. Is that correct?
Yes.
And currently want to make sure everybody received the draft letter. Thanks to Krista for drafting that. And I did want to say one thing before we go any further. So the statement that we're proposing is in regards to the mission and the credibility of the Kansas Fights Addiction Board. A fair, equitable process has been developed and used to award these funds. We're unique in that we are guided by both the legislative statute and also court orders issued from the litigation that created these funds. We have no opinion on these or any particular programs or the legislative appropriation authority, the power of the purse, so to speak. Our concern resides solely in the charge given the Kansas Fights Addiction Board by the legislature and the courts to award these funds to curb the scourge of addiction. And we'll open up for any comment, any addition or changes to the proposed letter. And we hope to be done here fairly soon, and then we'll forward the letter, if approved by the board, to the appropriate folks. So I will pause there, and if whomever, Monica, were you leaving, or Sarah, whoever, since I'm just joining by voice at this time, I'll sit quietly, and hopefully I'll get to see everybody's pretty face here in a little bit.
I think that this is Sarah. I think that Monica she was kind of on a time crunch this morning, so she was trying to give us her thoughts before she needed to exit.
Sure, that'd be great. Monica, if you want to continue.
That's all I needed to say, Pat. Thank you for that. And I appreciate everybody's time on this.
Any other comments in regards to the letter?
This is Mike. I'll just say I think the letter looks great. I appreciate the work put into it, and I think it lays things out pretty well. So.
This is Sandra. I agree. Monica's recommendation was to send to all members, not just the committees. Are we also sending it to the governor's office? I wasn't clear about if that office would be included.
Yeah, in fact, that's the key target just because of the process of the budget bill. The appropriations lies on her desk at this time. So that will be the prime target, but also can send to both houses of the legislature and leadership if that's the wish of the board.
Right, thanks for the clarification.
Chair George, this is Sarah Kaler. Did you happen to have or give the governor's office kind of a heads up that that letter would be coming?
I
her
did.
way? Again, this is Sarah. And the only question I had, and this really, I'm fine with it, whatever we choose to do, one way or the other, is on the second page, the very first paragraph where it says, the legislature's relatively rushed decision to spend $7.7 million. I'm struck by that sentence. And I wonder, I'm not sure that it was rushed. I think it was just pretty quiet. So I wonder if maybe using just a different way to state that, just maybe like the legislature's unexpected decision to spend, or the unanticipated, or the the unforeseen. I'm not sure it was rushed. I just think it was kind of shocking to us, and we don't want to put shocked in there, obviously.
This is Monica. I would agree that maybe some wordsmithing on that, specific to the fact that, to my understanding, and please correct me if I am wrong, there were no hearings on this. And so I think that is really what we're trying to say.
Perhaps give Krista some instruction, but something to indicate that we have a pretty stringent due diligence process, and feel that this process provides the most equitable solution to distributing the funds. Or I know that might get a little wordy there too. So yeah, rush might not be quite the right word. I mean, I have no objection to leave it like that, but if there is a better word to use, I'm open to that.
This is Gary. When I read this last night, that paragraph stood out to me, and I think it puts people on the defensive, which I think is kind of what we're trying to say here. And the word rush does stand out. I would actually consider striking the whole paragraph, simply because when you start putting numbers to paper, then there might be more questions than answers. Like, why do you only issue X number of dollars out of the fund, et cetera? So I think that paragraph is fine, and if you all want to leave it in there, that's fine by me. But at the end of the day, I don't know that it adds a lot of value and puts people on defensive. And then just one technical point while I'm speaking, we use the term SUD up above. A lot of legislators don't know what SUD is, so I would spell that out.
This is Lori. I think the key point of that paragraph is that it makes our stewardship of the funds challenging. I think that was an important point to include. So I'm fine with revising the wording, but I do think we need to include that sentiment somewhere in the letter that, how are we going to manage the funds, and know, like, for example, in the next time we decide how many grants we are going to award and how much each grant is going to be, how will we make that decision if we don't know that the next legislative session there'll be more money taken out of the pot? So I think that that's a key point.
Any other comment?
This is Mike. If we don't strike that paragraph, we could simply just remove those two adjectives. The relatively rushed. I don't know that that would make it less defensive, I think. I'm also fine if the paragraph doesn't add value.
That makes sense. So the legislature's decision to spend, and just leave it at that.
I like that suggestion. This is Lori.
Yeah, that sounds good.
I'm
Is
fine
it
with that.
spend or allocate? And it can be either one. I mean, I think it's all the same. I can stop with the.
Does anybody have a preference on spend or allocate?
No.
No.
Probably allocate is the right technical term. Any other suggestions or comments?
Mr. Chair, this is Robert Hutchison. I just had one technical point I had made to Krista before the meeting, and that since we're being very kind of specific there, only one of these measures is a budget proviso. That's the full circle bit. The other two are actually floor amendments to the bill itself. So we talked about the possibility of just changing when we use proviso to like legislative action or something like that to be accurate and encompassing.
That too, but yeah, that would be great if we put legislative action and covers both amendment and proviso.
Sounds good. I'll make those changes throughout.
Okay. Other comments?
I wonder, Chair George, I thank you so much for those that wrote this. I mean, this is great. And I know that we've already said it, but thanks cannot be, I think, heralded enough. But I wonder if when this goes out, if it were to garner some kind of media attention, and I don't at all think that the media is sitting around waiting for the KFAB letter to come out, but maybe somebody is. As a committee, are we yielding to our chair to have any comment? And if we are, Chair George, what are your thoughts on comments? And I mean, do we need to make a comment, or does the statement stand?
My
as it
thought is
and we
that
don't
the
need to give
letter
more?
speaks for the committee.
I would agree.
So I don't know if there needs to be a lot of further comment, as the letter is pretty inclusive, tells how we feel, that we're not, for or against. We're just honoring our commitment, I guess, to the legislative charge that we were given. So that's my personal opinion. I mean, I'm not against giving comments. Would be glad to be the recipient of those, but I don't personally feel like it's necessary. I feel like the letter speaks for itself.
So if you were to be requested for comments, your thoughts would be, you're going to say the statement stands as it has been delivered.
Yes.
And this letter is it's not required to be distributed to anybody but parties that we intend it to be distributed to, right, Robert?
This letter will be an open record accessible to those who request it.
And Sarah, this is Chris, just to let you know, there has been an open records request for the letter once it's complete.
Okay. Good to know.
Monica, I would suggest we follow our standard procedure for inquiries and continue to use Sunflower and the chair as we have in all inquiries in the past, and just use that same process for this particular letter.
Sounds good. Any other comments? Look for a motion to.
Yeah, I was going to say, is there a motion needed to agree to send this letter? If
Yes,
there is,
please.
I will make that. If there is one, I would make that motion.
Second.
I second. This is Lori.
Lori seconds. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion is approved unanimously. And that will conclude our meeting. Again, sorry, I couldn't see everybody's pretty face. I did have my hair combed, so that's not an excuse. Thank you for taking the time for this important issue, and look forward to seeing everybody here in 3 or 4 weeks. Have a wonderful weekend. The meeting is concluded.